Have you ever wondered if the most dangerous health warning in your life could arrive quietly, without drama, without panic, and without the crushing chest pain that movies have taught us to fear? Imagine waking up on an ordinary morning after the age of 40 and feeling something small, something easy to dismiss, perhaps a strange tiredness, a little pressure in your neck, or a sensation that simply feels different from your normal self. Most people spend years believing that a heart attack announces itself like a violent storm, but reality often behaves differently. Sometimes life does not knock loudly before entering your door. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it leaves small footprints in places where you are not looking. The human body is fascinating because it speaks its own language, yet many people never learn how to listen. We become busy with work, responsibilities, stress, family obligations, and endless routines. We learn how to answer emails faster than we learn how to understand our own heartbeat. We notice deadlines more quickly than we notice exhaustion. We pay attention to everything around us while ignoring the signals within us. As the years move forward and the age of 40 arrives, the body slowly changes the way it communicates. This is not meant to create fear. It is meant to create awareness. There is a difference between panic and understanding creates power. Many people assume that growing older simply means feeling more tired or experiencing occasional discomfort, but not every unusual feeling should automatically be placed inside the box labeled normal aging. Sometimes the body is trying to protect us from something hidden beneath the surface. Sometimes it is asking us to pause and listen carefully. The truth is that many heart attack symptoms become more subtle with age. They can hide behind ordinary experiences and disguise themselves as harmless inconveniences. A person may feel unusual fatigue and blame a difficult week at work. Someone may experience shortness of breath and assume it happened because of stress or poor sleep. Another person may notice discomfort in the shoulders, back, or jaw and think that age is simply introducing another ache into daily life. Yet the body rarely creates random messages. Every sensation has a story, and every signal deserves attention. The wisdom of health is not found only in dramatic moments. It is also found in the quiet moments that seem too small to matter. Dr. Evan Levine often emphasizes the importance of understanding what the body is attempting to say before the message becomes impossible to ignore. Health is not only about surviving disease. Health is also about recognizing truth before crisis arrives. The heart is more than a muscle that moves blood through the body. In many ways, it represents the rhythm of our existence, the silent force that continues working without applause, without rest, and without asking for recognition. There's a moment in many lives when the body begins creating signals that seem disconnected from the heart, and this is where the mystery becomes dangerous. The most concerning signs are often the ones that look ordinary. Imagine moving through a normal day and noticing an unusual heaviness in your energy. Not the kind of tiredness that follows hard work, but a deeper fatigue that feels strange and unfamiliar. It feels as though the body suddenly becomes heavier than yesterday, as though every movement requires negotiation with invisible weight. Many people after the age of 40 dismiss this experience because modern life itself is exhausting. Responsibilities increase, sleep often decreases, and stress quietly becomes a permanent companion. Yet, unusual fatigue can sometimes become one of the hidden warning signs that deserves attention. Then there are other symptoms that appear almost like actors wearing disguises. A person may begin to feel nausea without understanding why. The stomach may feel unsettled even though nothing unusual was eaten. Some may experience sweating without physical effort. Others may notice discomfort spreading into the shoulders, arms, neck, upper back, or jaw. The surprising reality is that the heart does not always send pain directly to the center of the chest. The body can project the stress into neighboring areas, creating confusion and false assumptions. This is why awareness matters. This is why understanding matters. There's a deeper lesson hidden inside health itself. Human beings often trust dramatic events more than quiet events. We react quickly when something screams, but we ignore what whispers. We believe danger must look frightening before it becomes real. Yet many of life's most powerful forces move silently. The earth rotates without noise. Time changes us without sound. The heart itself works in silence every second of our lives. Then comes the part that many people never expect. Imagine a person walking through an ordinary afternoon. perhaps carrying groceries, perhaps climbing stairs, perhaps sitting peacefully after dinner. There is no severe chest pain. There is no cinematic collapse. There is only slight shortness of breath and an uncomfortable feeling that something feels different. Nothing appears urgent. Nothing appears dramatic. The mind begins creating explanations. Maybe it is stress. Maybe it is poor sleep. Maybe it is age. Maybe it will disappear tomorrow. But what if tomorrow becomes too late? What if the body has already begun sending messages that are being translated incorrectly? This is where suspense enters the reality of health, because the danger of hidden symptoms is not only the symptom itself. The danger is the story we create around it. Dr. Evan Levine often explains that recognizing patterns early can become the difference between delayed action and life-saving action. The body rarely betrays us without warning. It usually leaves clues scattered along the path before crisis arrives. The challenge is that those clues rarely look the way people expect. Sometimes the greatest health risk is not ignorance itself. Sometimes it is confidence in a misunderstanding, because believing that everything is fine can occasionally become more dangerous than knowing that something is wrong. The most valuable lesson hidden inside conversations about heart health is that awareness is not fear, and paying attention to the body is not weakness. Too many people spend years believing that strength means pushing through discomfort and continuing forward no matter what signals appear along the way. They ignore exhaustion because responsibility feels more important. They ignore unusual sensations because they do not want to interrupt their routines. They convince themselves that tomorrow will provide more time to think about health. Yet life repeatedly teaches the same truth. The future is built from the decisions made in ordinary moments. Small choices become large consequences, and small warnings can eventually become large emergencies. After the age of 40, understanding the changing language of heart attack symptoms becomes an act of wisdom rather than an act of worry. Shortness of breath during simple activity, unexplained nausea, sudden fatigue, discomfort spreading into the jaw, neck, shoulders, arms, or back, and unusual pressure in different parts of the body are not messages that deserve automatic dismissal. They are reminders that the body communicates differently from person to person and differently from one stage of life to another. The important idea is not to assume that every symptom means disaster. The important idea is to recognize that unusual changes deserve respect. Health is not maintained by living in constant fear. Health is protected by awareness, action, and understanding. Dr. Evan Levine reminds people that early recognition can create opportunities before situations become critical, and this perspective carries a deeper philosophical meaning beyond medicine itself. Human beings often wait for certainty before taking action. They wait for pain to become unbearable before paying attention. They wait for discomfort to become impossible to ignore before asking important questions. But life rarely offers perfect certainty. Sometimes wisdom means responding before absolute proof arrives. Sometimes caring for yourself means honoring instinct when something feels unusual. The heart has carried every emotion, every challenge, every celebration, and every difficult season of life without asking for recognition. It continues its work through stress, joy, grief, ambition, and fatigue. It works while people sleep and works while people dream. Perhaps one of the greatest expressions of gratitude is learning how to protect it in return. There is something profoundly meaningful about realizing that health is not simply about adding years to life. It is also about adding life to years. Awareness creates choices. Choices create action, and action creates possibility. The message today is not meant to leave anyone afraid of every sensation or every uncomfortable moment. The message is much simpler and much more powerful. Listen carefully to your body, because silence does not always mean safety, and quiet signals do not always mean small problems. Sometimes the softest warning carries the greatest importance. A person does not need medical expertise to become more observant. Awareness begins with simple attention to patterns that suddenly change without explanation. It begins with refusing to normalize every new discomfort simply because age increases. It begins with understanding that seeking help when something feels wrong is not an overreaction, but a responsible decision. Too many serious outcomes happen because people spend valuable time convincing themselves that symptoms are insignificant. Sometimes courage is not demonstrated by enduring discomfort in silence. Sometimes courage is demonstrated by respecting the possibility that the body may be asking for help before a crisis arrives. The greatest investment any person can make is learning the difference between ordinary noise and meaningful signals, because understanding that difference can protect not only health, but also precious time, relationships, and future experiences for tomorrow.